that is going to be live. Okay. But basically we keep this open forum. I mean, pretty much most of us know each other. If you have questions, don't be afraid to ask. And and actually, I know Leon's going to be talking here, but we also have the next week is also going to be the general meeting, which is starts at 7 and networking is at 6:30 at Da Vinci's Restaurant on West Ridge Road. I think that's Stone Ridge Plaza. I'm going to let Leon talk about what the subject is. So Leon, go ahead if you I know Leon's the president. You have some announcements, I guess, also. You there, Leon? Did we lose him?
Yeah, I have to unmute myself.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, yeah, but I am here, of course, and so glad to have the folks here. So I just had a couple of things that I wanted to make sure that people were aware of. As most people are aware, basically we have went through a little bit of a shift from the standpoint of individuals who are basically running the organization. And I say a little bit of a shift, but it's sort of major. And particularly from my perspective, as most of you probably know, Susan Holman has decided that she is going to retire and not be involved in Freedom First. And if you have any idea about how Freedom First runs and operates, you recognize that is a major item. So basically, we're going through steps to try to make a smooth transition, if you will. And that means a lot of things need to get done and take place. As many of you know, we've been assisted greatly by Andy McQuaid, who has helped us pull together a much more functional organization, particularly from the standpoint of automation and what it is that one has to do to keep things running day to day. If you look at where we were back a year or so ago, we were at a point where as an organization, I mean, it's tough enough if with Susan sort of leaving us. I still have a hard time with Susan leaving us. It gives me a little bit of chill running down my back. But what happened is if something took place and I was on a plane with Joe McGuire, the organization probably would just fold because of the fact that we have people like the subgroup leaders who do a lot to make sure that the organization operates effectively. But that's in one component of the total space that makes up Freedom First. And without the three of us, we would clearly be in desperate shape as an organization. So one of the fundamental things that we are required to do as officers is to really make sure that the organization can continue to run if we're not here. And so that was the main focus. And so we have done things and we will continue to do things that make things operate smoother, can be easierly handed off to someone else when we are not around. And it's, although it may be hard to think about things from that perspective, for all of us, whether it's something like Freedom First or our personal lives, is one of those things that we really have to understand and realize as a possibility. And as I tell Joe and Susan and I used to kid all the time, we're not no spring chickens no more. So that means that there's a lot of things that we have to do. So to that end, one of the things that we've done thus far is we've actually, I want to make an announcement associated with individuals that are being, well, they were recruited, they volunteered to really help us. And so the first person I want to make sure people are aware of, Dee Thompson. Dee Thompson is going to help us by being the administrative assistant to help us get things done. And from the standpoint of setting up meetings, for taking notes, doing a whole bunch of different activities that are definitely required. And it's one of those pieces of the organization that needs to be structured properly because it allows us to function much more effectively. And so that's the first of three announcements. The second announcement is associated with Beth Short. As most of you know, Beth Short, she and Carl Weeks worked together to do one of the landlord support meetings, the one that's in the fourth Thursday of the month. And Beth is going to help us by becoming a member of the board of directors for the organization. And then the other big piece, the third element that I'm going to announce today, I mean, I know most of you know Jacob Thorpe. Jacob is going to become secretary for Freedom First. And he's relatively new to a lot of the people, particularly the old timers that's a part of Freedom First, but he comes with new thoughts, new ideas, younger guy. And we're trying to intentionally include people that are, well, they may not be spring chickens, but they're a lot younger than Joe and I are, and Susan. So you'll see some more changes coming down the road as we move to be more effective as an organization, and as we bring in, for sake of better words, new blood. So any questions on those three items? And again, thank you, Andy, for all the hard work and stuff that you've done to help us pull all this together. The second item that I wanted to talk about was the general meeting. The general meeting that's coming up, we're going to have Earl McCray be the speaker. And he's going to be talking about the evolution. His title of his presentation is The Evolution of a Wholesaler. So it's going to be a little bit different from the perspective that, and from my standpoint, it makes it many times more interesting. In a lot of cases, we have individuals who are really seasoned. They really are doing things where they're, I'll use the terminology, at the top of their class and those sorts of things. Well, Earl is a relatively new real estate investor, and he's going to be talking about the evolution of a wholesaler and some of the things that he's doing now, and some of the things that he's basically transitioning into so that he'll be able to be more effective. And most people know when you start off doing real estate investing, you start off as doing things like wholesaling because a couple of things. One, fundamentally, it's the basics, things that you need to understand if you're going to go out and find motivated sellers, and it tends to fit with almost all elements of real estate investing, just because of the fact that if you don't have a deal, you don't really have what the world sort of stops there. And so he's going to talk through that, talk a little bit about rent to own. He's going to talk a bit about some of the things that he's done in short-term rentals. So that's the two items that I need to touch base upon. Joe and Andy, is there anything that I missed there that you think we should be talking about?
I think you got it.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand it back over to my friend Joe LaBarbera.
Perfect. And the meet by the end, I think I said so. The meeting starts at 7. Networking is at 6:30 at Da Vinci's. It's Stone Ridge Plaza. I don't have the exact address, but it's Stone Ridge Plaza.
Yeah, it's close enough. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the corner where Stone comes in.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I mean, one of the quick comments is that we're trying to move to doing in-person and Zoom sessions for the general meeting. In other words, do both at the same time. We've done it once. I think it was fairly successful. Right now with the Adventures, we're still trying to work out their connection to the internet and whether or not it is functional enough to allow us to do both a Zoom and in-person meeting. There's a chance that the meeting at Da Vinci's for this coming general meeting will only be in person. So we're going through and trying to, in a short time period, resolve those items to allow us to do both. So stay tuned and hopefully we can get both elements of that general meeting working. All right, back over to you this time again, and Joe.
No problem at all. By the way, I think, is Scott on? Does Scott actually make it on?
Yeah, Scott's right there.
I'm on, Joe.
There you are,
Hey, hey.
the better half.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't know if he'd be able to make it or not.
Uh-huh. You mean the hunchback? The hunchback is on.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah, we're just getting started. Actually, we haven't done haves and wants.
Okay, cool.
So,
We haven't done new people intros either.
Right.
oh yeah,
And real quick, I want to say thank you to everybody. I know you guys do a lot of hard work on that side. Leon and Joe, thanks for everything you guys have been doing. And, send Susan a personal message to thank her for everything. And Andy, I know you stepped up. You've been doing quite a bit. And I know Beth is not on here, but, Beth Short's done quite a bit. And of course, our new secretary. I probably have met him, but happy about that. So, but thank you everybody for what you're doing. And then I apologize, I can't think of her name right now, but she always makes all the desserts and stuff.
Hey, I don't think she's on, so I'm sure she's not insulted.
Okay, yeah. I know, I feel terrible. So, but yeah, thanks to Dee too for stepping up. So it takes a lot. We know it all takes a lot. We appreciate what everybody does. So good. So go ahead, Joe.
yeah. Well, I know Andy wanted to see if there was any new people on here, so because he can see it.
I know for sure that we've got a guest member, Samuel from the UK. He's in London. I don't know if, I'm pretty sure we know Howard. Wayne Bennett is on. I haven't seen him in a while, but it looks like it's just Samuel and Wayne that I don't recognize right offhand in the meeting currently.
You guys, Samuel's in the UK. Samuel, if you want to introduce yourself, quick 60 seconds, 90 seconds, tell us about yourself and what you're looking to do. You may be muted.
He is muted. I don't know if he's actually at his keyboard either.
Oh, okay. We'll give him a few more seconds after that. He'll have to chime in later.
Recording? Is that what he's saying?
It's all right. And then the other one was Wayne. Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you can. You're good, Joe. I don't think either of them want to step up and speak.
No problem.
No.
Just want to give them the.
Some people are a little shy about getting this stuff out on YouTube because we do publish these.
All right.
videos.
All right. We'll do haves and wants, and we'll get started over here. Let us know what you're looking for. Who wants to step up and let us know what you got or what you're trying to sell, or whatever you want to buy.
For deals.
What was it? Oh, there you go. Who else? Anybody have anything?
Storage, baby, storage all day long, all night. Hey, any size, any make, any model, I'll get it.
Join the club.
Looks like that's what everybody is looking for now.
That's right. Join that club.
Same here, but I
Storage
also
and
have,
Airbnb.
also have money to lend, so those are the two that I have.
Okay. Anybody?
I'll throw out that I did get some hits last week. I'm helping a client with a 300+ unit apartment complex in Webster. I am looking for good crews to come in and help turn units. He closes in a couple of weeks, and we're hoping to get 15 to 20 turns / rehabs and flips done. There's like 45 vacant units. There's 60 that need massive rehab that the prior owners never finished. And then there's just a bunch of other stuff because the property's been operated at 40% since the end of 2018. And they deferred all the maintenance, and it's rough. It needs some TLC. So we'll be starting that in a couple of weeks. I do have some crews who stepped up, but we'll probably need more than the couple that we've already got lined up. So if anybody knows anybody who's looking to fill space and they're decent and they can show up and they can do everything: flooring, doors, trim, cabinet installs, painting, cleanup, demo, whatever, hook me up.
I have to ask because 40% occupied in Webster, which is like our backyard. This is like
Oh no, not 40% occupied. They were operated at 40% like budget. They're not spending 52, 56. They're spending 40%. They've sucked every drop of equity out of this
okay, I'm
place.
sorry. I
Okay.
assumed-
Yeah, no, deferred maintenance. There's only 45 vacant units out of 300 and something, but there's also another 45 that aren't paying rent. So it's essentially 90 vacant units.
What's it? Oh, was this an off-market deal?
Yeah.
Ugh,
328 units.
how much?
328 units.
Oh, man. Okay. Next. Next deal.
Joe, it sounds like you might be a little upset you didn't get that one.
I am like my stomach right now. When he said Webster, I'm like 300 something units in Webster. I'm like, what?
I'm right down the street, probably from the place too, and I don't know anything about it, so.
I am so
No.
sick right now. Thanks, Andy. Appreciate it. I gotta see a doctor. Oh,
It's funny. Sorry.
I'm glad it's funny to you. You literally you kicked me through the internet. Wow. Okay, sorry. Anybody else? I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, hi, everybody. I'm looking for potential lenders. Michelle, can you put your contact information in the chat box?
I think she heard you. She may be muted out.
Okay. I also want to say that I really am starting to love these meetings. I thought I was going to come here looking for possible flip money, but I just learned so much from you guys, and I really, it's almost becoming like a spiritual experience for me. And I am studying, not reading, studying Think and Grow Rich. So when is the Da Vinci's thing?
Thursday, next Thursday night.
Thursday night.
Yep. We'll start doing
Glenn-
networking around 6:30.
Yeah, Glenn, the general meetings are always on the second Thursday of the month. So this time we'll have it at Da Vinci's. And the thing I should mention is for all the folks who are members, we have the holiday party in December. And it's the event where you can come to the meeting and you can bring a guest, and the food is free. And you have to pay for your own alcohol and beverages, but
When is the holiday party?
December, God, I think it's December 10th.
yeah, it seemed like it's the
I'm hoping
10th.
that, but I think it's the 10th.
All right, I'm going to fly up for the holiday party because I want to meet you guys. You're all my heroes.
Good. Where are you located, Glenn?
That's
Where-
Howard. That's Howard, not Glenn. Glenn's not
Oh,
talking.
Howard. I'm sorry. Oh my God.
No problem. No problem.
The name's not on there. Where are you located?
I live in the New York City area. I live in Queens.
Oh, okay. Oh, there's the accent.
but I've been a Rochester investor since 2008.
Oh, great. Perfect.
Hey, do you guys know anybody from the city? I'm getting a bit of unfavorability on one of my properties that was involved in a fire. My insurance only paid for so much, and now they're threatening me with knocking it down. Do you guys have any advice or know anyone I can talk to? Or
I think, I don't know, Carl Weeks was handling stuff like that. He's
should
on-
I have Carl's email address. Should I reach out to him? Okay, thanks, Joe.
I would, yeah.
Also, have you tried NFA, National Fire Adjusters?
Yeah, they weren't much help. I mean, they were some help. I'm not going to say they weren't, but yeah, they helped me get a maximum return from my insurance company.
Okay.
The place really got damaged badly, unfortunately.
From my
Okay.
experience, they're probably going to want you to do an environmental and then have it removed, or they'll do it for you and bill you back.
Yeah, I'm trying to avoid that. Okay, I guess I'll just have to contact them.
And I
Thank
have a
you.
trade I can send you that will do the demo, but I believe you have to do the mold, asbestos, et cetera, in addition to that. But I have my contact info in there if you want to reach out.
Thanks, Michelle. Thank you, everybody.
No problem. Anybody else?
Yeah. Joe, I know you like to go last, so I'll go just before you. Joe, I did have what was the date of the holiday party again?
I
December.
believe it's the 10th. I would need to, I'll try to find my email where I reserved it, but I'm pretty sure it was the 10th.
Okay, thanks. All right. I'm Scott Spear. For those of you who don't know, born and raised Rochester. I built a little real estate portfolio while I was there, with the help of everybody on this call, and then sold that off. Now my wife and I are living full time in an RV. I do have some self-storage units, looking for more, anything along the East Coast and down in the Southeast region on over to Texas. Pretty much anything nationwide, really. So any self-storage facilities you see that look like they're run down, looking to buy those. And then also ATMs, the bank machines that you see. I'm involved in a partnership in Southern Maryland. It's going really well. I'm not sure what the laws and stipulations are in New York, but if you know anybody who owns an ATM business and might be looking to sell it off, let me know. I know it's pretty unique, but it's been a pretty good business. So thank you.
All right. And me, I look for everything, obviously storage, but also commercial, residential. I do have 3 properties. I don't know which ones we're gonna keep. One, maybe 2. I'm not really too sure. I have a property which we're just acquiring in the 14609 area. It's actually more toward Northland, Fernwood area. It's a 3-bedroom. It's in pretty decent shape. It's got a tenant there that only pays like $750 a month, which is way below market value. A house around the corner last year, I know Colleen sold for $133. We sold one not too far from there for $141, and ours did not have a garage. This one does. It needs some updating. The roof's in good shape. It's got some vinyl windows. But that one, I think if the price on that one's going to be somewhere right around, I think 79, somewhere right around 79. I think we're somewhere around 79,000. We do have another one that's over in the city, over the Clyde Street area. That one ARV, it's in the nice part of there, somewhere right around 120s is the ARV, which I couldn't believe, but apparently it's true. Needs work. That one's going to go for, I think if we 69.9, and then we're getting one, which we're trying to figure out what's going on with the title on this one though, or not title, is a mortgage situation, but it's a 3, and all these, by the way, are 3 bedrooms. This one's a 3-bedroom. It's over by Kodak area. And the ARV on this one's got to be somewhere close to 130. If we get rid of it, it'll probably be somewhere right around, that one's vacant, by the way. That one's going to go for probably around between $69,000 and $73,000. Does need some rehab, 3 bedrooms, got a garage. If you're interested, contact me. I'll give you more details. I got pictures. Let me know. Okay. All of them are either good flips or very good rentals. I'll try to put my information on the chat box if anyone wants to contact. Most people have my number here anyway, so that's what I got. Anybody else? We're all good. Perfect. I don't know if anyone has anything that they want to talk about or go over. Feel free to ask. And Scott, I don't know if you had anything you wanted to touch upon also. I think Scott's muted.
No, he's not. But Joe, for the, excuse me, for the break and for Scott, I did verify that the holiday party is December 10th. It's a Friday.
Thank
Friday
you.
of the second week in December.
Perfect. Oh, what the heck did I just do with my stuff over here? So I don't know if anyone, by the way, we like to keep this kind of interactive. So I don't know if anything, if you want to go over stuff, I've got a couple of things I actually wanted to touch upon. But if you come up with any question, thing you want to ask during, please feel free to do that. A couple of things here, and I mean, we can go over both if we want. I've been getting, and I'll let people decide whichever one we want to talk about first. I've been getting phone calls for a variety of reasons. One of them is I've got people who are calling me and are getting frustrated because they're getting the people to call them. They are having the people agree to a price, and then they can't get them also to be able to fill out the purchase offer. I had a conversation just the other day with a guy, and then because he's just getting all frustrated, you know, and he's just trying to get these people to sign, and it's happened to him already. I think four or 5 times already in a row, and he's trying to, you know, and then what I'm also getting is, and you guys let me know what you guys want to talk about too, is people have been calling me, and everybody here has been getting involved in real estate. They want to quit their job. They want to quit their job. They want to quit their job. And a lot of them, you know, they're in the game, and then they think that just because they have one property going on, they're going to quit their job. And some of the people are trying to figure out what they need to do to quit their job and where they need to be. Okay. So I've been having multiple conversations with people. I don't know why. I don't know what the situation is with that, but let me know what you want to talk about first. And I don't know if there's anybody has any preferences to that, or if anything you also want to add on to that.
I'll say that I hear that a lot from people who want to be consultants too. They want to quit their job and they figure they're just gonna make money helping people do whatever, but they're not sure what it is to even be a consultant. My nephew is very guilty of this. Like, I love the kid. He drives me nuts. He's like 25. He's a software developer, thinks he's a consultant. I'm like, no, dude, you're not a consultant. You're a freelance software developer. Like, there is a difference. It's a completely different clientele, different contracts, different insurance. He's got no resources. He's never worked a real full-time job in his life anywhere. I'm like, Nobody's going to hire you to help them run their business if you've never run a business. That's just reality. It's never going to happen. You need to get experience, or you need to focus on your freelancing and software development and then help people do that later. Like neither shall these two worlds meet. I don't know what to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I always get concerned, you don't want to crush people's dreams, but I always get concerned when somebody says they're going to leave their job and just go into real estate full time. They haven't quite built up a portfolio yet. Don't, have experience with a lot of maybe the wholesale deals or flips. It's always smarter to kind of build your business slowly and smartly. And then, when the business is supporting your lifestyle that you have now, then you can look to leave your W-2, but you really should consult with somebody who's done it, because it's a big step. And, you hate to, crush people's dreams, but, I'd rather see them stick with their job maybe a little bit longer and succeed than to leave their job and cause themselves situations.
I agree.
Not only that, once they give up their W-2 income, that limits their buying power because the bank isn't going to finance them. So not only do they need to make sure that their current income replaces their W-2 income, but that they have enough to invest in future properties without that W-2 income. And not every private lender is going to lend on a full-time investor that doesn't have any backup, especially in the situation that we're in now with the eviction moratorium.
Yep. When I started my own company, I left a job making well into six figures. I had a whole stack of cash set off to the side. I had an attorney. I had a CPA. I had opened the business 3 months before I left my W-2. Like, I could have gotten along for over a year with zero income and been fine. And that's just being a consultant. There's no real estate involved. There's no like massive liabilities, very low overhead, very low startup. For real estate, it's a different game. Like, it really is. Like, the hours are great for what I do, but when you're starting off in real estate, you think you're getting away from 60, 70-hour weeks.
I think one of the things that happens is that a lot of people look at advertisements that come on TV, look at different programs that says it's so easy and that you're going to be able to immediately start making all this money. And, it's like a dream that's just not going to really take place because there's so much work that you really have to do. And if you're coming from a regular job, your discipline that you need is just so much different than going in to work every day at a certain time and doing the things that you need to do and go home and then you get paid. I mean, it's just a big change. And a lot of people really don't recognize the challenge that's really in front of them. And they have been told so many times that it's so easy, when it's really, in a lot of ways, just the opposite.
Well, one of the things that a lot of them see is that they'll say they're going to make $30,000, and I go, that's pre-tax. And first thing I ask them is, okay, what do you have going? I understand what you have going on now. What's the next? What do you have in the hopper next? And they're like, well, what do you mean? I'm working on this property. Have you been searching? Well, I have, but not really very actively. And I kind of get them thinking, I'm like, okay, is that money going to sustain you enough? And some of them are getting freaked out because they're like, okay, it's hard for me to find a property. I go, exactly. And for me, and a lot of them ask me, okay, because they always ask, how did you know when to quit your job? I had so many things going on that I made sure it was a machine, but I worked harder after I left my job. And, and for the people who just do flipping, and I asked, some of them don't want to do wholesaling, which is fine. Some of them don't want to do rental. They just want to do flipping, which is fine. It's not a problem. But, and I tell them, for me, for my flipping right now, we're in November. I already have stuff going on well into now, April, almost, I think almost May of next year. We have stuff going on. And I want to be able to make sure, obviously we do the whole, do wholesaling, we do the flipping, do the rentals, but I want to run each one as its own separate entity in regards to, I'm not going to count on the wholesaling and I'm not going to count on the rentals. And I do the same thing with the rentals and the wholesaling. I just pretend none of the other stuff is there, and that just keeps me focused. And a lot of these people are, I don't want to tell people to quit. And that's now, and Scott Spears 100% right. I don't want to crush anybody's dreams, but most of the people who've done very well that I've talked to, a lot of them have saved up their money. A lot of them have. And they're coming, and at least that way they're in a position of strength, not that of weakness. And one of the other things I tell them, I go, how are you running your business? And they run it very, very laxy-daisy. And they don't run it like a regular business, bottom line, and they're only going to be open for a little bit. And eventually they're going to end up shutting down, or they're going to end up having to get a job. I saw something yesterday which made me laugh. I read it. It was like, it was on one of the groups I read, and it goes, for people who have a job, they fear losing it. Entrepreneurs fear having to get a job. Okay. And it kind of made me laugh. It stuck with me all day long, and it's 100% true. And I tell people is that if you quit your job and this doesn't work out for you, you're going to end up having to get a job, and you may not be able to get your old job back, and you may not be able to make the same amount of money. And then where are you going to be? And then the stresses it's going to handle in your life. I mean, I don't like telling people when they can quit their job. I don't know if anyone else can add on to that.
Joe, I can add on to that too, because I want to tell you about my unique experience of I was a business owner for 22 years, a restaurant business owner. So I had that business experience. And then what you just said about getting a job, it's kind of funny because I know what it takes to run a business. I mean, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I was presented the unique, because most people say you want to quit your job. Well, I quit my business to start another business. And I and Leon just said, well, he watches infomercials and stuff like that with real estate. I was up till 12 o'clock last night finding leads for the next week. I don't care, because even weekends I work, because I used to work weekends all the time. And I'm living off my proceeds now and trying to start my storage unit business and in my wholesaling. But it's kind of funny because my wife and I talk about maybe someday I got to get a job. I'm like, I don't want to freaking do that. I never had a job for my whole life. I work for myself. So, it's interesting how you brought that up, because I'm like, I don't know what it's like to work for somebody else. I never had to. And at the same time, I don't want to answer to anybody. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't want to do it. If I had to do it, I will. But, a lot of people, they say, well, I can do this and I can do that. Well, do you have what it takes? Do you have the integrity to stay on it, to work late? Some people, I'm not going to say who, say, well, storage unit, you'll need that many hours and put into it. Yeah, you kind of do. Because when it takes a business, I don't care who you are, it takes hours upon hours to put into it, even to start it up, because I'm continuously developing systems, trying to make it better, more efficient, And yeah, maybe I haven't found that many leads yet. Well, actually, I have, which I'm going to talk about later today with Scott Spear. But in any event, though, it's just, that's what it takes. You just got to stay on it. And, I don't care if you're up till 2 or 3 in the morning. Damn it, get it done. You just got to get there and get it done. I mean, most people had this dream, ooh, you got money. Well, you know what it takes to make money? I mean, it takes I don't want to get into that restaurant business anymore, but the stuff, the stress I had before, it's like, and it was fun, but that's what it takes. You got to stay on it, man. just gotta stay on it, you know? And I like what you just said about that job thing. That's really cool though.
Yeah, it was true. I was like, oh my God. I mean, I don't even like even saying the word job. It scares me.
Yeah, no, what's W-2, man? I'm like, what? Who?
Oh my God. I mean, Scott ended up leaving. I mean, Scott took what, a year or two, I think, Scott Spear.
I think about that. Well, I'm not like you. You literally walked away from your job, right? And went into wholesaling. Mm-hmm.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, I was doing construction. That was all back and no brains. That's nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Now for me, it was about a 4-year process when I really got serious about building real estate to being able to leave the W-2. I was kind of forced out. They had a layoff across the board in the company I was working for, and kind of accelerated things 5 years for me. I was planning on walking from the W-2, 5 years later, but this kind of pushed me and said, okay, let's give this a try and see what happens. And it worked out. We were able to save up money. I knew the layoffs were coming, but I was able to save up money, and that was the biggest thing. I had let's say a year's worth of reserves, and had companies calling me to have me come work for them, but I just opted not to at that point. So let's build the real estate full time, and it worked out. But I, if need be, to pay the bills and take care of the family, I would have gotten another W-2. So, but it took a good 4 years for me. But I've been dabbling in it, real estate, for a long time prior to that. I just got really serious about it, and 4 years later, I was able to walk away from my job. So.
Now look at you, you're traveling around the country.
Yeah, I'm still working though. So
Yeah,
still looking for storage deals.
it's a heck of an office that you have. A
Yep.
man on wheels.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Have office, will travel.
That's right.
Oh man, oh man. Yeah, it's been so crazy because a lot of people have been getting, and we all hear the people getting frustrated, and all I could tell people is that you got to run it like a business. And I don't tell, like some of us have really crazy schedules. We don't tell everybody to do what we do whatever it is you want to do. At the same time, if you're comparing yourself to somebody who's putting in 12, 13, 14 hours a day and you're doing 6 and you want the same results, unless you get very lucky, it's not going to happen. And so I don't know if it's probably because it's getting toward the end of the year and because people have goals, because realistically we got what, 7 more weeks till Christmas or something. I don't even know what the heck it is, or Saturday. I don't even know what it is. It's crazy. People are like starting to freak out. I haven't hit my goals. I haven't done this. I haven't done that. I talked to one guy. His goal was to do 30 for the year. Flips. He's at 33. The problem is that he's only completed, I think he was at 24 or 25 out of the 33 that he owned, that he's bought so far, because he's so behind, because obviously trying to find contractors. And he was, and I go, are you complaining? Are you bragging? He goes, well, I want to hit my goal. Now I understand that. He's at 33. He's already purchased. He's only gotten 24 or 25 uncompleted. And he's just on a mission. I go, well, listen, worst case scenario, you're going to be at 28 for the year completed. Nobody's going to cry for you. And he starts laughing. I said, I'm not crying for you. Okay. But, a lot of these other people who are just doing 1 or 2 or just want to leave their job, they understand. They're like, holy smokes, they're coming up on a deadline. And I tell people, don't beat yourself up. Even as long as you're in the game, but you need, and I tell people, I go, look, find out some of these other people are doing. Sometimes, a lot of people get on these calls and they're not connecting with other people. I'm like, call these other people on, put your phone number on the chat box, talk to people, connect with people. And then start working with some of them, because they'll push you. Scott Spear pushes me. Believe me, he does. Sometimes he'll call me up. He'll be like, yeah, I just got a notification. Somebody else just rented my storage unit. I just made more money. And by the way, I was eating dinner. Oh, isn't that nice? That just, he does it not in a mean spirited way, but he does it because he knows it'll push me. And every time he calls me up, I know he has 8 or 9 storage units right now. It just drives the living crap out of me to even get to a quarter of even do 10% of what he's doing, which I'll take. But they're going to have to do something. And I can't be the only, I mean, I don't know. I know there's a lot of other seasoned people on there. Has anybody else been dealing with other people with this? And what have you been telling them to do? Seen something in the chat box, but I can't read it. I don't know what that is.
I'll just say that I see a lot of people trying to start off anything, and they're trying to do it alone with no team. And they've got all these like confirmation bias issues where they look for stuff to support what they think is reality. And it's like, no, it's not actually how the world works. You need to actually like get punched in the chin a few times and figure out exactly how things need to work for you to be successful in this. And right now you're setting yourself up for failure. You need to find a mentor or somebody who can like tell you how it is, because you can't go into it blind. If you don't have a team, you can read all the forums and information you want, but that involves a lot of searching around and looking for information specifically, and that feeds your confirmation bias. If you're looking to actually learn, you need to get some books, get a mentor, join these groups, do whatever you need to do to get a realistic view of what it takes to be successful. And they don't because they just Google what they want and they find what they're looking for and they believe it's gospel with no sense of reality, no sense of how it really is. And it sucks because there's a lot of people who get turned off because they fail. It is what it is, but it's important to have groups like FFREIA.
Yeah. Andy, you know what? Can I see something real quick? It's very interesting. And you say you got to get a mentor and all that stuff. That's great. That is a very good thing. But one thing I'm going to tell you guys is that I know it's in November, and I've been doing this storage unit business for a year and stuff. Experience, and I've learned so much by just doing too. I mean, dude, just by getting myself dirty and getting into it. I mean, don't get me wrong, reading books and everything's great, but man, the stuff I've learned, I was actually thinking last week of like, how far have I come in the past year? It's like doing this real estate ventures and business. It's like, man, I'll tell you what, just learning and talking to people and networking and just doing it yourself. Holy cow, I've learned so much. And it was really cool. I give myself a pat on the back because it's and I'm continuously learning, and I just want to input that. Sorry.
No, that's great. That's true. I've talked about this guy before. He's been involved in real estate for 5 years, has not done one deal. He's trying. And every once in a while he'll call me. And then I hadn't heard from him in a month and a half or 2 months maybe. And he just happened to call me over the weekend. And I think he thinks that if he calls me by osmosis, he's going to become, something's going to happen for him. And he's not doing the right things as far as what he should be doing. You're involved for this amount of time. You have access to all these people. And I have to give him kudos for not quitting. At the same time, he's just not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Okay. I feel bad for him. I want to see him succeed. Again, he said, well, okay, I'll call you on Monday. Because, he's looking at some lead, and I knew it wasn't going to be a good lead, but, let's see what happens. And today is Thursday. I still haven't heard from him. Okay. So that's one of the things about running it you're not running it like a business. Okay. And this guy's got a family, and he wants to be able to support and work and take care of his kids. And just only so much you can do. Okay. Anything else? Anybody have anything they want to add on to that?
I mean, I'll add a part on to what you were just saying. And in a lot of cases, I think people do, if they had to say it, they wouldn't say it this way, but they really feel that they can get it by osmosis. So the person, and I have no clue who that person is that you're talking about, Joe, but that's an example of a person who really does need a mentor that can give them ongoing guidance, and a person who has basically done what they need to do and be able to tell them specifics, because they need specific guidance. And I think it's one of those things where the person is calling you because it's another way to get you engaged to help them. So, I mean, for that individual, I think someone providing them on a day-by-day basis for a while, here's what you need to do, here's the steps you need to take. And a lot of folks don't get the fact that, and I learned this a long time ago from you, you start off at 5:30 in the morning. And at 5:30 in the morning, you're up and you're starting to get things done and squared away. And it's a different view of what people really think about as being the real world. So I think that person really needs someone to mentor them, to give them direction almost on a daily basis for a while. And then that person could probably go off by themselves.
You're right. At the same time, you need to make sure that they want it more than you want it for them. Okay, like the saying goes, you give the attention to the people who deserve it, not the people who need it. The ones who deserve it are the ones who are actually calling, talking, doing what they're supposed to be doing. Because
absolutely,
otherwise you won't have enough time even for yourself.
Yep. Well, there's something to be said for the accountability that having a mentor brings, having them spell out specifically and then go, well, why didn't you do this? But free has no value. So this guy is going out, whoever it may be, getting free advice from people. But because there's no skin in the game outside of a couple minutes of his time or her time, then it's meaningless. It's fluff, just like everything else. There's no accountability. There's no follow-up. Not everybody is self-motivated. Do I think real estate is right for everybody? No, I don't. There are some people who are better off just being W-2 employees for their entire lives. And until they get hungry enough to want to do something to be their own bosses, they're never going to make it. But they have to want it. It can't just be a 5-year kind of fact-finding, waffling around, doing nothing mission. They have to commit to it and make it happen. And if they don't have the motivation to do that, they don't belong in this business. They don't belong being a consultant. They don't belong being their own boss. If they require the accountability that comes from having a coach, that's great. But they actually have to want that, which is where compensating somebody financially comes in. Like when you're paying someone for something, regardless if it's good or services, it better do what you paid for, right? Like a lot of it comes down to the person seeking the coaching or seeking the mentoring or hiring a consultant. They have to execute the things they're told to execute. But at the same point, that coach or consultant needs to be able to basically say, yeah, I'm not taking your money anymore because you're not doing anything. Get out. Which I did this week. I fired a customer. It was great.
Oh man, that's funny.
Can I ask a question real quick, guys? Sorry. Andy, what did you mean by what, or maybe anyone can answer this question. I talked to a lot of real estate agents and real estate agents and a lot of people in real estate. And I tell them about, we talk about the conversation of mentoring and finding mentors and whatever. And the one, and it's not just also real estate agents, it's also people that are not in any kind of real estate or any kind of business. But most real estate. But they always say to me that the one common theme I'm seeing and I'm finding is that why do you have to pay for a mentor? Why do you have to pay for this or that? And I'm like, but I just want to ask you guys, maybe like, why do so many people think that they can get something for free? Like, what's the deal? Like, is there something there? Do they know something I don't? I mean, I just want to know why they all say, oh, you should have to pay this much money for that or that much money for this, to have someone's time. It's like,
Because they don't, it's a different level, right? So you're going to be as successful as the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Right.
That's reality. So if you're spending your time with a bunch of people who, for example, and it's one of my pet peeves, don't want to pay $200 to be a member of FFREIA, the freaking membership pays for itself. Not only is it a stupid business decision not to just join to get the rebates, but the networking and the value that it brings is a no-brainer. If you're spending time with somebody who doesn't want to spend $200 to be a member of FFREIA and they're involved in this industry, they're not worth your time. And it's the same thing with people who don't read books, they don't network, they don't do what they're supposed to do. You're wasting your time. Like, don't spend time with people who bring you down, period. If they're constantly saying, don't do this, don't do that, that's not the person you want to be with. Like, that's bad for you in a lot of ways, because this game is a mindset game. Your self-motivation and your drive to succeed comes from the ability to get up in the morning and put your nose to the grindstone and get it done. And if you're hanging out with people who don't appreciate that and don't have any understanding of that, you need to stop hanging out with them. Like, that's reality. Now, it doesn't mean you go out and hire 4 different coaches. Like, that's stupid too. Like, you should find one person who can help you with what you need and focus on that. There's a ton of coaches out there. Coaching only works 5% of the time because 90% of the coaches out there are absolute hot garbage and they don't know what they're doing. They're trying to make a living being a coach, but they've never been successful in life. Again, it comes down to who are you spending your time with? Like, you do get what you pay for in life, as long as you're putting the same amount of effort into it as the money you're spending.
Yeah, it makes me wonder how those people made it too, those real estate agents that say, oh, you don't need to pay for this or that. Yeah.
They probably didn't. They're probably part-timers and okay.
And
Love
also
real
to
estate
that-
agents. Oh,
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I love real estate agents, but the reality is, for the last 3 years, you could be a part-timer and make a living being a real estate agent just by showing up, because a rising tide lifts all ships. When stuff gets tough, those are the people who are going to disappear. There's a reason why there's like 3 million registered real estate agents in New York State, and 3/4 of them are not practicing. And it's not because they're all good at their jobs. Like, you can do it when it's easy and that's fine. But when it comes down to brass tacks, it's just like the stock market. The people who are smart make their money in the stock market, even in bad times. It's no different with real estate. Like,
And I think mentoring is like any other business. You used to own a restaurant business. You're not going to give people free food because you want to help them, grow in their culinary, area. And I think too, that what I think is important is you don't always have to pay for mentoring. I think that there's an exchange for services that can also be utilized instead of money. So you have or whoever has their unique skills and things that they can offer to the person that they're trying to learn and grow from. So instead of a money exchange, you can do a services exchange or a knowledge exchange or, a boots on the ground exchange. There's a lot of different ways to utilize mentors other than by paying them. I've been in this business a very long time and I've offered a lot of free advice, but you can't continue to offer free advice over and over and over again without getting something in return from it. Not that I don't like helping people, but I don't have the time to continue to always offer free advice. It has to benefit both parties.
Yeah, look at it too is like, I was talking to actually my golf partner who was he's very successful in real estate. And he always told me that if you want to go seek out a mentor, that, and I remember that Andy just said 90% of the coaches suck, which is true, or in some of to that effect, that the person that's putting their time, or whether they're paying or like you said, the services, whatever, to get something to change, that there better be a return on investment as well. So let's say, Jimmy Smith goes and wants to seek mentorship services, and he spends either his time, money or services, that whatever he puts into it, he better get something back in return as well. You know what I mean? Like if I spend, like, let's say $5,000, I just did a round number, I better get that return back, 2-3 times the amount I spend, because, of course, it's up to the person that puts into it. I get that. But if you're gonna put the time into it, that amount of investment, there better be a significant return, I think, as well, in addition to what you guys are saying. So.
Yep. I agree with all that and then some. Anybody else want to add on to that? We're all good?
Yeah, I think we covered that pretty good. One other thing, Joe, well, does anybody else have anything else they'd like to discuss? Joe did bring up one other thing that I thought might be good to talk about, but if somebody who's maybe just joined, or anybody have anything they'd like to add or questions on?
All right.
All right.
I guess we'll go on to the second thing where check out there. People are having problems with getting people to basically, and by the way, I have some real life. It's kind of crazy because I'll talk about one gentleman who's here locally. He's actually a business owner, but I've gotten calls where people are trying to get, they'll locate a property, and they've been having issues with them trying to get the purchase offer signed, or just getting them to the next step. And there was one gentleman that he said it was either 4 or 5 in a row. He's not gotten, and they're pretty decent deals. Some were doubles, some were singles, whatever. And he couldn't figure out what the heck he was doing wrong. So one of the things was, I listened to what he was doing and what was going on, and how he was talking. He's a business owner. So he is one of the things, especially with business owners, they're used to people walking in to them, and instead of them going out and searching for the customer's coming into them. So I think the way he was approaching it, he was kind of going at it that way, and when customers come to you, you don't really, they trust you to a point, but when you're in this business, a lot of them don't trust you at all. Okay, and you have to be able to earn that trust. A lot of us know this. Okay, and some of the stuff I've covered before, and I'll give you a perfect example. He had one where he had a 2-family over there, over by the Plymouth Ave area, whatever it was. They're a really good deal, nice 2-family. And the lady was, I'm going to sign. They weren't signing for anything. And I asked him, I go, what are you saying to them? I just want to know. And he was just like, well, I want them, I said, listen, I sent over the contract. I need you to sign it. We have to get that over to the attorney's office. I want to make sure, that we're all locked in. And I go, whoa. I go, don't you understand that these people are not trusting you? They're not signing it. Excuse me. Typically, it's because there is something's going on. Okay. So what I did was I talked to him a little bit. I said, and I've said this before, I never say the word contract. Don't ever say that word contract. Okay. And I told him purchase offer. It's just a much softer way to do it. One of the things that he was doing was he was pushing them to sign it. And he kept saying, you got to sign the contract. You got to sign the contract. So I told them, instead of saying that, what I tell people is I say, look, the purchase offer I sent to you is contingent upon attorney approval, which means the attorney has to give it his blessing first before anything can be approved, which means if you sign it 1,000,000 times and I sign it 1,000,000 times, it doesn't mean anything until the attorney gives it his approval. Okay. And I went through that with, I have a woman that we're buying a house from. It's out in Greece. Pretty decent deal. Definitely needs rehab. The daughter's up here. Mother I never met. And she's down in Florida. So she was, I'd never met her, never talked to her, but at least I was able to establish good rapport with her over the phone. And I was telling that gentleman, and by the way, this I just had this conversation just in the last few days with this one gentleman. He's one of the people I've had the conversation with. It's just, but he's like, I don't understand. How are you able to do that when these people are local and this lady's down in Florida? How are you able to get her to sign a contract? I said, stop using that freaking word contract, first of all. And I said, purchase offer, and everything I just told you, I told her. And this woman reads everything. She actually went through the whole entire purchase offer and had a couple of things that she wanted me to make sure that she wanted to see about taking out. And I told her, honestly, I've done ungodly amount of purchase offers and never once read it, nor do I have the desire to. I'll go over it with you. At the same time, the attorney will do it for you. So she went through there and found a couple of little knickknacks, which, she was worried about having to leave the RG&E on. The RG&E is off on it. I don't care about that stuff, but she cared about it. And she goes, well, I don't really feel comfortable. So I need you to initial it. Okay. It was no big deal. And by the way, I'm telling you right now, happened yesterday. Okay. I initialed it and I sent it over before this Zoom call started. I texted her and said, yeah, great. I got it. I said, do me a favor when you get a chance, make sure you send the purchase offer over to the attorney's office. That way he can look at it and make sure it's good to go for you. And let's get it moving forward because winter is upon us. She goes, great. Okay. Which we're, she'll be happy. She'll get rid of it. We're going to be happy with it. But the point of that is that I didn't even meet this lady, and it's not because I'm any better than anybody. And by the way, it also can go back to what we were talking about earlier. You want to be able to quit your job. These are things you need to learn, and it's a learned skill. Some people are like, well, Joe, how do I learn how to talk to people? Talk to a lot of people, you're going to end up learning. Okay. That gentleman, and I was very nice about it. It wasn't his fault. I said, look, you're obviously not earning trust. There's something the way you're approaching them isn't working. So you just have to adjust. You have to be able to do something. Okay. About 3 weeks ago, and by the way, feel free to interject if anybody wants to add on to anything here, or if they have their own little stories to these things. I'm sure we all do. Okay. About 3 weeks ago, I went to look at a house over the Maplewood area, and the gentleman wanted to get rid of the house, and I went in there and I offered him. I'll tell you what I offered him $55,000 for this house. It's probably worth around $120 to $130 all day long. And he had an offer on it he originally wanted $75,000. I went over, I looked at it, and I said, look, I can't, I got to be at 55. And he goes, Joe, honestly, I got an offer for 75. And I told the guy, I go, listen, you got to take that offer. I said, as a matter of fact, I will personally drive you to the closing. You have to take that offer, I told him. Okay. And he appreciated it. He respected it. And so what I told him, I said, listen, if things change, I didn't say if they cannot close. I didn't say if it doesn't close. Okay. If things change, please keep me in mind. Okay. And one of the things that I did with him, with that gentleman, the owner of that property, I didn't talk about me. You know, I always focus on what's good for the seller, you know, basically for them. And I'm honest enough. People know me, will tell me. I'll go to properties. I'll tell people, I go, listen, you know, I ask them, why aren't you going to a real estate agent? Why aren't you doing this? Why are you coming to me? These people, you'll make more money with these people. And in this case, you know, he appreciated it. I told him to go with the other. He appreciated it. He started laughing. I told him, I will personally drive you. I'll drive you to the closing. I'll drive you to pick up that check because that's a fantastic deal. But if things change, call me. Today's Thursday. Tuesday, late afternoon, early evening, I got a phone call. Hey, Joe, it's such and such. Here's the property. I'm going, and because I've looked at God knows how many properties. I'm like going, he told me the property address. I'm going, okay. I go, I apologize, but I can't remember. And I started laughing, and then I had to look it up. Oh yeah, because I'm visual. I have to look. Facts tell stories sell. I'm a stories type person. Again, I'm telling stories here. So we had a good laugh because I just couldn't remember, and which also let him know I wasn't waiting on the sidelines for him. He goes, Joe, I appreciated your honesty. I don't know if these people are actually going to be closing. I think they're stringing me along. Now, remember, they offered him $20,000 more. Okay. He goes, Joe, would you still be willing to buy the house? I go, yeah. At the same time, I want to be honest. I can't pay you $75,000. He goes, I'll take your 55. And this was Tuesday night. Yesterday morning, I wrote it up. My assistant, Rachel, sent it out, and it's at the attorney's office. Okay. All because he trusted me enough that he knows it was going to close. Okay. It's a pretty decent deal. I'm happy with it. I don't know what the heck we're going to do. We're going to figure that one out. But that one gentleman was going at it completely different. And I'm dying to see what is going to happen with how he approaches that. I think we were on the phone for like, oh my God, like 45 plus minutes. He was actually running his business and taking customers while we were talking. Okay. I respect him, and I respected him because even though he was still working at his business, he was also still trying to do the real estate. Okay. So that's somebody who definitely, you know, and he appreciated, I appreciate what he was doing and actually giving me some of his time while he was actually pulling like double duty, basically. Okay. And by the way, feel free to add on. Anybody got anything you want to add on to this? And I can't be the only one that's gone through this.
I don't know if anybody's got anything to add on, but Pat asked about quitclaim deeds a little while ago in the chat box. I'm not entirely sure in reference to what or how they're used. I'm assuming it's quitclaim deeds in real estate investing and acquiring houses, but I'm not 100% clear.
So let me, if I could interrupt just for a second. I think we should address Pat's question, but before we do, I would like to make a quick point here associated with the discussion that Joe just had. And how should I say this? Well, I tell people all the time, you know, if I'm at this, I'm going to go and I'm going to talk to this particular seller that's interested in selling their house, and there's 3 or 4 of us there, and Joe LaBarbera is one of the people, then what I'm going to do is say, Leon, give it your best shot, but you have to be on your A+ game Otherwise, you're gonna lose to Joe. And the reason why is because a lot of people miss the importance of being a master negotiator. Because negotiation and being able to convince that seller that first of all, you're one of the most honest people that they're going to run into, and that what you say is what you're going to do is so very important. And Joe is just so good at negotiations and negotiating ways through questions and situations that have the person feeling just like they've known him for years. And in situations where Joe wasn't around and I was able to do what I just said, things worked out very well. And it really is almost an art form. But Joe, before we go to Pat's question, can you just go over again? We've talked about this before, but I think it's important for this group, particularly the people who are maybe new to the call. And there's a couple of books that you recommend that people read that really help with negotiating and being able to be successful as a negotiator.
The first book, which did a lot for me, is How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah.
And then the second one, which is a newer one, Never Split the Difference, is also a great book. Everybody knows those books. But you got to understand is that you're not going in to manipulate people. It wasn't meant to be using that spirit, so please don't take it that way. It's just we're going in, and I was telling that gentleman, I said, you got to figure out why these people want to sell, because 99% of the time we're going into problems. There's issues. If this place was a white picket fence and it was, hunky dory, everything was great, you'd use a real estate agent. Okay, 99% of the time we're going into some sort of chaos or some sort of problem. Okay, so you're just trying to connect with them and get on their side, not be adversarial, not be, it's just so many different little things you can do to help. All I'm trying to do is connect with people. That's it. Okay, in an honest way, genuinely, not in a way where you're trying to screw somebody over. Don't take it that way. Okay. Because if you do that, I promise you're not going to last in this business. You'll make a little bit of money maybe, but the word will get out, but you'll never have that sustained success that you're always looking for. Very important. Okay.
A couple things, Joe, that you said that I want to ask about is I always refer to it as the agreement. And I like what you were saying about the purchase offer, because it is a purchase offer and it's not really approved till your attorney approves it. So I do, it's one of those things, instead of saying an agreement, do we say, or instead of saying a contract, and Joe and I talk quite often, almost daily. And I was taking down notes. I don't know about anybody else. And I've heard Joe say this over and over again, but I need to remind myself when I'm talking to people about, agreement is just something that really gets people nervous, gives some people anxiety, makes them anxious and all that. But, the word agreement or purchase offers just sounds so much easier. And then, it needs your attorney's approval. That kind of, I think would put them at ease too. That way they know it's not really an agreement or contract until your attorney approves it. So I think that's one thing that's really smart, that puts people at ease. And then, the one thing you said about, if things change, please keep me in mind. I have said myself, a few times, well, if they don't close, let me know. But just that, things change, please keep me in mind. That's a very smart word. And it's just those little wording things. That's the thing, like Gabe said, you have to be out there doing it. And, you can sit and read about this and all that all the time, but until you're really doing it and putting these things in practice, it's okay. Don't think you have to be perfect to do this thing, because you can make mistakes along the way. We all have. But just being it, doing it, saying these things, and actually talking live with people, you start thinking a little bit differently. And, you know, I appreciate everything Joe was saying. One thing that Greg Brooks did put in the comments thing is, you know, instead of telling them to sign the agreement, he says, just ask them to autograph it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think that was kind of a neat thing
Great, Greg. Yeah.
too.
Yeah, I mean, just
And
to interject a little bit more. I mean, because, you know, we're sort of going into a lot of sort of details here with this piece. The way that I try to do it is when I'm talking to a seller, my overall approach is that when I'm done with the call to that seller, they're going to leave the call with more self-esteem than they did when they started it. And so if I keep that in the back of my mind, it forces me to continue to always put what they're looking for and how I present it in the way that is best for them. Now, you're certainly not going to tell them any mistruths and those sorts of things, but if you just take the approach of, I want this person to really leave the call feeling just as good as or better than they did when they called me. And so what is it that I can do and how can I help them to that point? So I'll use the word, I use that to make sure that I'm always on the right line with them from the standpoint of how I'm interacting. So that's just one of my approaches to trying to be as good as Joe is at it.
you know, one of the things too, what Scott Spear said also, is that if you offer somebody less money, okay, and you know that they have somebody who's going to give them more money, and you tell them, listen, if they can't close, call me. Subconsciously, unconsciously in their mind, they're thinking, oh, he would love for me to call him because then he knows this other person not going to be able to close. It's an automatic, it just automatically happens, okay? So whenever I tell them, listen, if things change, that doesn't bring their ego into place. Like, well, I'm not going to call Scott because that's going to mean like he actually subconsciously, unconsciously, he won. It's so crazy how people's minds think and reacts. So when I offered that guy $20,000 less, I didn't say, listen, if they can't close, if they don't close, then he'll know. Be like, huh. Now I have to go back to Joe, and you know, and that's especially if you're a guy. Guys and egos, God, that's a whole other story. You know, it just puts them on the defensive. That's why I said if things change. So it made it much easier for him to come back to me and accept $20,000 less. It's just a whole psychology. It's crazy, and you start to think about it because our brains work in a certain sequential order, and it's nuts once you start to realize exactly how to deal with people. Okay, and I want to get to Pat's question. I don't know if anyone wants to answer quitclaim deeds. I have my opinions on them. Somebody else, please.
Well, Greg actually put a good comment around it in the chat. Greg, maybe you could just talk about, you know, what you actually included there.
I think he's muted out. Well,
Okay, this is Pat. I understand the reference to a quitclaim deed in terms of not necessarily having to do a lot of follow-up with it, especially if it's just a cash exchange. I did not know, or I wasn't clear about not having any liability towards the person that was selling the property. Like if there's a lien on it, wouldn't you have to still do your title search, or is that no longer necessary? And who would do the title search?
well, typically on a quitclaim deed, you don't do anything. The problem is that if there is a lien, if there's taxes due, you're going to be the one responsible for it. I know one girl whose her uncle did this to her. She got the property she was all happy. She got a 2-family in the city, and Uncle quitclaim deeded it to her. I think she paid minimal for it, whatever. She was so happy. And then she was just going to resell it, and I was going to buy it. It was $19,000 in back taxes that she inherited.
That is, yeah, so that's an example of the reason why you would want to make sure you did a title search before you basically decided that that was what you wanted to do, was to take the property, even though you were just taking it with a quick claim. You know, because, yeah, because I mean, you want to know what are the underlying encumbrances against that property before you basically, because if you, I mean, there's no guarantee basically with the quitclaim deed, so you're just basically taking it without any of the standard promises, for sake of a better word, that you would get when you did a warranty deed. So you really want to know what you're getting into.
Okay, I think I got that part of it. Now, you're suggesting that I would do the title search? And if I do the title search, meaning I would go down to the county or the city, whichever, because it's in Greece. Then when I get it, do I need to have all of the coordinates, or can I just do it based upon the address? Coordinates meaning the latitude and whatever of the property.
Yeah, I mean, I'll speak to that, but I'm not the most qualified person to speak to it. Some of the other people on the call are like Joe McGuire. But the example would, to answer part of your question, a person like Joe McGuire could go in, he could do a title search and feel relatively comfortable that he had gotten all of the specifics that he needed to know about it. For someone who was just new and starting off, you know, you would have maybe a title company or an attorney actually do it versus yourself, because you don't really want to miss something that would mean that you maybe you missed something and you're now making a decision that the title on the property is free and clear when there's something like taxes on it or another mortgage that's there. So, and you want to make sure that that's something that doesn't take place, because in essence, you're buying something without having the correct information associated with what's there. Joe?
Thank you for sharing that. And I really appreciate it, because I don't feel confident enough to do it myself. However, my partner is in this particular situation, has experienced this before, but it's been a while. So what I'm trying to be sure that all of the necessary pieces that need to be done will be done, because I'm going into it blind, but they're not.
Why are you not using an attorney, if you don't mind me asking?
Say that again?
Why are you not using an attorney, just out of curiosity? Why don't you just do that? That's what I mean, that's.
Well, I think that's part of my decision at this point, because I would think that it's a better idea to have an attorney there. And then, of course, I'm going to use my FFREIA resources on that. So, but I just want to be sure that I'm making the steps in the right way. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you strongly suggest an attorney, right?
Yeah, I know nothing about doing title. I handle
Yeah,
the
I don't either.
He can answer. I don't know if he can, if he's moved it out or whatever.
Okay.
Okay.
I just, before because I'm new and I'm not experienced. So
Okay.
before I actually get into, completing something, I want to go to seek some of the knowledge that I know exists in this, which has been very beneficial in getting me on the right track in the past. And I had already talked to, kind of, sort of, because I had two different things going on. I had kind of asked Greg Brooks about where do I go for forms and things like that. And then he gave me information about a website that I could use. And while the website is excellent, it's not the same as here's Joe, I can ask him a question. Here's Leon, I can ask him a question and actually get, I'm not asking you to do it, but get some, some history behind it.
Absolutely.
So I'm hearing first off that attorney would be the best route to go.
Well,
I think.
that's my preference. I don't know about Joe McGuire's preference.
Yeah, I've done it both ways. And I've purchased quick claims. I've sold on quick claim, and I would take a little different version or approach to it as a quick claims. You're deeding off whatever rights you have to the property. You may have absolutely no rights to. I can give you a quick claim to the Empire State Building. Perfectly legal, fine. You can go record it. It's not going to do you any good, but a quick claim, you sign off whatever rights you have, if there are any. As Greg had said, there are no reps or warranties to it. It's, if I own it, fine. If I don't, fine too. So I've bought and sold on both. But when I bought, I knew what I was doing. It was not my first transaction. And I had absolute confidence in the power of the state. I know that somebody had said, I think a week ago, somebody had said that we're getting into with property, we're changing constitutional law or something on property or taking away constitutional rights. I would disagree with that. Actually, we have no constitutional rights to property. Property is real estate, real as being Rio as in a king. Property was always the property of the king, and he let you use his property. And so the government has always had superior claim to real estate. But that's because I'm old and learned from old people that, for this point, if you're buying and you're new, yeah, I would absolutely use an attorney. You can get your own title. You can, it's easy, call up any title company, give them the address, they're happy to go do it. But but if you don't know what that title report is saying, you still need the attorney. And one thing you haven't talked about or has not been brought up is survey. The title company is not going to talk about the survey. They're going to say, they're going to exclude whatever encroachments or infringements would be revealed on a survey because they don't have one. So you also need a survey. If you're the buyer, you need a survey with it. So to go to what Joe and Scott have said, yeah, if using an attorney would make your life an awful lot easier. Because they would do the title and they would do the survey and they could read it and understand it.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Thank you so much for that.
So Pat, one of the things that I do, and it really comes from back when I first started doing real estate many years ago. It was relatively simple compared to today. Well, I guess it all counts on what your computer skills are. But what happened is, in the situation that you were talking about, I would actually go in and I would do my own preliminary title search. And I felt that I had enough capabilities to be able to find things that were there that would be an immediate. So what I'm doing is I'm looking for an immediate cloud associated with the title that would tell me, no, I should not be doing this. Or it's going to provide me additional information to help me make my decision as to whether or not this project that I'm looking at doing is really something that I want to do. And once I got past that particular point, because if I looked at it and there was something there that I felt I wasn't comfortable with, then to me, that's it, I'm done. I don't need to really go any further. And then let's say that I looked at it and I said, yeah, well, all this really looks good. It looks nice. Then I go to the next step, and the next step is to get the title company and the attorney involved. So that's the way I think most people actually have done it in the past, to do their own preliminary title search, to try to get an understanding of what is really there and to know whether or not it made sense to go to the next step.
Mhm.
Can I do that simply by having the address?
Sure. Yes, Greg put in the chat, Monroe County, monroecounty.gov. Yeah, you go to the clerk's office and put it in, run a search,
Okay.
but it's, as Pat had said, or I'm sorry, as Greg had said, it's what we used to call a stub search. They still call it a stub search, I believe. And yeah, I will run a stub search to see if there's something worth, if there's an obvious problem. But a stub search does not tell you if there's an undisclosed problem, or it doesn't tell you that a problem may have been taken care of and not recorded. There's a ton of, I've got a ton of mortgages that are not discharged. And I keep getting calls from attorneys, hey, you sold this property 10 years ago and it wasn't discharged. I was going, yeah, well.
Yeah.
So, because it's there doesn't mean it's not resolved. It just means that it's, as Leanna said, it is it's an open item. It's something you want to be aware of.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so
Thank you for
Pat,
the information.
Yeah, Pat's, my thought right now, given what you've outlined, is specific to the question that you just asked, is no, you should not be doing the title search because of the fact that it's something that you don't have the level of knowledge at this point in time. It's like, sounds like maybe the first time you've done something like this, and I would not feel comfortable. If it was me, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing it. I would take a more conservative approach by having someone else do it. Maybe, like Joe and Greg indicated, do a subtitle search and those types of things so that you can get a preliminary answer and have someone else do that. And then you could look at maybe understanding how you would be able to do that yourself. Now, back in the day, Monroe County actually had classes that they would teach you how to actually do your own title search. So that doesn't exist anymore, one. And two, the system has changed, and I find it very complicated compared to the way that I learned it in the very beginning. So just some general thoughts around, how I would proceed if it was me.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad I'm glad I was able to squeeze this in this morning because everything has been so helpful, very, very helpful. Not just for my question, but prior to that as well. So
right. So
thank
we're
you.
back to what Joe says of have your attorney do it. It's gonna be 1,000 times easier.
Yeah. Certainly definitely worth it. Yeah.
By the way, we're like over call right now. It's almost quarter of.
I know, I'm sorry.
No, I'm glad. We just want to make sure if people want to drop off, they're more than welcome to. I'll be on for just a few more minutes. And if you have questions, you're more than welcome to, we'll stay on for a few more minutes. It's not a problem. We're glad we answered your question, Pat. Believe me, it's not a problem. But I want to thank everybody for being on this morning. I appreciate it. Next Thursday morning is going to be the housing provider. And then Thursday night is going to be the main meeting. Go to the FFREIA website, check them out. Go do real estate, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, good questions, Pat. Thanks for bringing those up too. So I appreciate it. I learned a few things.
Yeah.
I have one other thing. Could you give me our attorney's phone number? I don't think I have it.
585-360-1203. 360-1203, 585-546-5600 is the front desk.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll keep you abreast on how well I work out with this, since it'll be like
Yeah.
the first.
Mhm.
All right, you guys have a good day.
You too. Thanks, Pat.
Thank you.
Scott, how much long are you gonna be in Virginia for?
I'm not sure yet, trying to get out of here by Thanksgiving.
Gonna say it's getting a little chilly. I want to drop to like 60. You're going to be freezing.
Actually, it's supposed to get down to 29 this weekend. So that's a little chilly. That's for sure.
Better fill up the tank and drive down south for a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah. Drive down to Myrtle Beach or Savannah, Georgia, or Florida for sure.
Driving until the temperature sensor there reads like 50 or 60. Then you
For
can
sure.
stop.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. You know, those things in cold weather don't agree well because they're, you know, got all the plumbing right there. So that's for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. Hey, I wanted to show everybody. Let's see, everybody has left. Or my FFREIA shirt today. Thank you very much, Leon and Joe and Andy and all that. So
Nice.
yeah,
Very nice, Scott. You're representing.
there you go. Yeah.
Super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah. Well,
Glad
Happy
you like.
anniversary.
thank you. Thank you.
Happy anniversary or
Thanks.
No problem.
Yeah. Thank you. Went to a speakeasy last night. It was an old prohibition place. It was pretty cool. So you go in the front door, it's like a general store, and then you put a nickel in the Coke machine and the door opens and you go back into where the bar and restaurant are. So it was really,
That
really,
sounds
really
pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, put some pictures up on Facebook for it. So it was a lot of fun.
I like that bacon place you went to also.
Yeah, yeah, that was impressive. That was in Denver.
That's
So,
funny.
yeah, yeah, had a good time. So, but yeah, no.
Well,
Everything else progressing. All right, everybody.
yeah,
So-
we're out.
Thank you. All right.
Bye.
Take care.
See you, everybody.
Yep.
Thank you.
Go buy something, go sell something, go make some money, everybody.
Yeah.